welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring cholera.
Yeah.
A significant infectious disease that continues to impact global health. I know you're a medical microbiologist.
Right.
So we've tailored this deep dive specifically with you in mind.
Great. Sounds good.
Yeah, so
Looking forward to it.
we'll be drawing insights from a few sources today.
Okay.
Microbiology,
Yes.
the CDC, of course.
Good source.
And then this really fascinating website called Microbe Canvas
Oh, very cool.
to kind of provide a well-rounded perspective on
Yeah.
this persistent pathogen.
Okay.
So I guess our goal today is to really unpack the most relevant aspects of cholera,
Okay.
highlighting what's particularly intriguing for someone with your expertise.
Great.
So let's start with the basics, I guess.
Sure.
Cholera is an infection of the small intestine
Right.
caused by the bacterium Vibrio cholerae.
Yeah. And while it might seem like a disease of the past,
Yeah.
it still affects millions worldwide.
Oh, wow. Mainly in regions with limited access to clean water and sanitation.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It can be a severe illness,
yeah.
especially for children,
Right.
and can quickly turn fatal if left untreated.
It's a really, really serious stuff.
Yeah, very serious.
So let's shift our focus a little bit now to the culprit itself.
Okay.
Vibrio cholerae.
Yeah.
There's a surprising fact about this bacterium that I found fascinating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Humans are the only known hosts for Vibrio cholerae.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's very unique.
It is.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
You know, like, what's the evolutionary path of this bacterium?
Exactly.
It's a very specific adaptation to us.
Absolutely.
And another fascinating aspect is the role of bacteriophages in cholera.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Did you know that non-toxic strains
Right?
can become toxigenic through infection by a specific type of phage?
Yeah, they're basically viruses that infect bacteria,
Right.
and they can transfer the genes for toxin production,
Wow.
turning a harmless strain into a very dangerous one.
So these phages are basically little genetic engineers in a way,
Exactly.
transforming these bacteria.
Yeah.
So how does this bacterium actually spread?
Well, primarily through what we call the fecal-oral route.
Okay.
Contaminated water and food are the main vehicles for transmission.
So that makes sense why you were talking about sanitation and clean water being so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a growing concern about the potential impact of rising sea levels on cholera rates.
That's a really interesting connection.
Yeah. How would rising sea levels influence cholera outbreaks?
Well, as sea levels rise, coastal areas become more susceptible to flooding. This flooding can contaminate freshwater sources with salt water and sewage,
Oh, wow.
potentially creating favorable conditions for Vibrio cholerae to proliferate.
That's really scary.
Yeah, it is.
It just kind of underscores the interconnectedness of environmental factors
It does.
and public health, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about, what a medical microbiologist would need to know about the signs and symptoms of this disease.
Okay.
The hallmark symptom is, of course, profuse, watery diarrhea.
Right, often described as rice water stool
Okay.
because of its pale, milky appearance.
I see.
Yeah.
And the volume of fluid loss is incredible.
It can be. Yeah, we're talking about 10 to 20 liters per day,
Wow.
which is a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah,
It
and
sounds-
that severe dehydration
Right.
can lead to electrolyte imbalances.
Yes,
Which, if not addressed, can be fatal.
absolutely.
The sources even mentioned a chilling nickname for cholera,
Oh, really?
the Blue Death.
Oh, wow.
And that nickname comes from the fact that severe dehydration can cause
Oh, I see.
a bluish-gray discoloration of the skin.
Makes sense.
So it's a stark reminder of how rapidly this disease can progress
Yeah,
and the importance of prompt intervention.
absolutely.
So speaking of intervention, how do we typically diagnose cholera?
Well, rapid diagnostic tests are available, and they can be really invaluable in outbreak situations.
Okay.
These tests typically detect specific antigens
Right.
of Vibrio cholerae.
And from a laboratory perspective, what's the standard procedure?
Well, stool or rectal swab samples are crucial
Okay.
for culture and identification of Vibrio cholerae.
And I imagine knowing the specific serogroup involved is important.
It is. Yeah, we need to differentiate between O1, O139 and other variants to understand the epidemiology and potential virulence
Okay.
of the strain.
Now, you're a medical microbiologist, so you would know
Right.
that serogroups are determined based on the bacterium's lipopolysaccharide,
Right.
or O antigen,
Mm-hmm.
which plays a key role in its pathogenicity.
Yes, exactly.
But it's not just about identifying the serogroup.
Right.
Antibiotic resistance testing is crucial as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We need to determine which antibiotics will be effective against the particular strain causing the infection.
Exactly.
Especially given the rise of antibiotic resistance in Vibrio cholerae globally, which we'll delve into a bit later.
Yeah.
Now let's switch gears and talk about how we combat cholera.
Okay.
What's the first line of defense?
Well, prevention, always.
Okay.
That means improving sanitation,
Right.
ensuring access to clean drinking water, and promoting good hygiene practices.
Yeah.
These are really the cornerstones of cholera control.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And vaccines also play a significant role.
They do. Yeah, oral cholera vaccines are available.
Okay.
And they provide reasonable protection for approximately 6 months.
Okay.
They primarily target the O1 serogroup of Vibrio cholerae.
I see. And the sources mentioned an interesting bonus.
Oh, really?
That these vaccines might offer some cross-protection against diarrhea caused by E. coli.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So what happens when someone contracts cholera?
Okay.
What are the treatment options?
Well, the mainstay of treatment is oral rehydration therapy, which involves replacing lost fluids and electrolytes with a solution that's carefully balanced to promote absorption.
I see.
All right.
Now, here's a detail that might interest you as a medical microbiologist.
Okay.
Rice-based solutions are often preferred over glucose-based solutions.
Oh, why is that?
Well, they've been shown to be more effective in reducing stool output and shortening the duration of diarrhea.
That makes sense.
And the reason might lie in the fact that rice-based solutions contain a mix of complex carbohydrates, which could potentially influence the sodium-glucose cotransporter activity in the gut.
I see.
So it's an area of ongoing research, but it highlights the importance of considering the composition of these solutions.
For sure.
In cholera treatment.
Absolutely.
For children, zinc supplementation is another crucial aspect of treatment.
Yes. Zinc has been shown to reduce the duration and severity of diarrhea in children with cholera.
Now, I imagine antibiotics also have a role to play.
They can be helpful in shortening the duration of illness, reducing the severity of symptoms, and decreasing the overall fluid requirements.
But antibiotic resistance is a concern here as well.
It is, yeah. Antibiotic resistance in Vibrio cholerae is a growing challenge, especially in certain regions. Yeah, it's a complex issue with significant implications for treatment strategies.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Did you know that not everyone infected with Vibrio cholerae actually develops severe symptoms?
That's right. In fact, for every person with severe cholera, there could be anywhere from 3 to 100 others who are infected but remain asymptomatic.
So they're just walking around spreading it.
Potentially,
And they don't even know.
Exactly.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is.
That makes you realize how much we really don't know about the host pathogen interactions in this disease.
It really does.
And it makes you think about, controlling outbreaks. How do you control something if you don't even know?
It adds another layer of complexity to an already challenging situation.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the immediate impact of cholera.
Right.
But I'm curious about the long-term effects.
Okay.
Do people fully recover after a bout of this illness?
Most individuals who receive prompt and adequate treatment do recover completely.
Okay. But some may experience lingering effects.
Right. Could you elaborate on those?
Yeah. What are those potential long-term effects?
Well, some individuals might develop post-infectious irritable bowel syndrome, characterized by abdominal pain, bloating, and changes in bowel habits.
That makes sense, considering the intense inflammatory response that happens in the gut during this infection.
Yeah. And in rare cases, more serious complications can arise.
Like what?
Like reactive arthritis or Guillain-Barré syndrome.
So the impact of cholera can extend beyond those immediate gastrointestinal symptoms.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned earlier that some strains of Vibrio cholerae are particularly virulent.
Yes.
The sources even highlighted how certain strains can cause death within a matter of hours.
That's right. Those hypervirulent strains often possess specific genetic factors that enhance their ability to produce toxins and adhere to the intestinal lining.
That's incredible. I mean, it's frightening how quickly it can progress.
It is a sobering reminder of the constant evolutionary battle between pathogens and their hosts.
For sure. And that's why, things like surveillance and genetic analysis of these strains is crucial.
Absolutely. By understanding their evolution,
right,
we can better anticipate and respond to outbreaks.
So let's zoom out a little bit now.
Okay.
And look at the global epidemiology of cholera.
Sure.
Where is this disease most prevalent?
Cholera is considered a pandemic. Wow.
It's present on multiple continents.
Okay.
However, it's most common in regions with limited access to clean water and sanitation.
Right.
Particularly in parts of Africa and Southeast Asia.
And as we discussed earlier, climate change,
right,
particularly rising sea levels, could exacerbate the problem.
It's a multifaceted issue with environmental, social, and economic factors all intertwined.
So it's a really complex problem.
It is.
And it kind of underscores the need for this comprehensive approach.
Absolutely.
To prevention and control.
We need to address the root causes of cholera by investing in infrastructure for clean water and sanitation, promoting hygiene practices and strengthening healthcare systems in vulnerable communities.
It's about creating sustainable solutions and not just reacting when there's an outbreak.
Precisely. And that requires a collaborative global effort involving governments, organizations, and researchers.
So speaking of research,
what are some of the most promising developments in the fight against cholera? What gives you hope for the future?
Well, one area that holds great promise is the development of new generation antimicrobials.
Okay.
We desperately need effective weapons against drug-resistant strains of Vibrio cholerae.
That makes sense. What about vaccines?
Yeah.
Are there any new cholera vaccines?
Well, there's ongoing research into improved cholera vaccines that could offer longer-lasting immunity and be more effective in young children.
That would be a game changer.
It would.
Especially in regions where this is endemic.
Absolutely. Another fascinating area of research is the use of bacteriophages.
Oh, so using those viruses that can infect and kill bacteria to combat cholera.
Phage therapy involves using specific phages to target and destroy these pathogenic bacteria.
So it's kind of like fighting fire with fire.
In a sense.
Using cholera's enemy against it.
That's right. And phage therapy has shown encouraging results. Wow.
In some preliminary studies.
That's really interesting. What other research avenues?
Well, there's growing interest in understanding the gut microbiome and its role in cholera susceptibility and severity.
So the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that reside in our intestines.
Right. Research suggests that the composition of our gut microbiome can influence how our bodies respond to cholera infection.
So manipulating the gut microbiome could be a way
potentially
to prevent or treat cholera.
That's a question researchers are actively investigating. For example, they're exploring the potential of probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria, to help restore a healthy gut microbiome and enhance the body's defenses against cholera.
That's fascinating. It's remarkable how much we're learning.
It is.
About this interplay between our bodies and this microbial world.
Yeah. And each new discovery brings us closer to understanding this complex disease and finding better ways to combat it. This has been an incredibly informative journey.
It has.
Into the world of cholera.
For sure.
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the basics of the disease to the forefront of research.
Absolutely.
And I hope this deep dive has provided you with a deeper appreciation of the challenges and opportunities that cholera presents.
For sure.
Especially from that medical microbiologist perspective.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that we need to continually learn, adapt, and collaborate to stay ahead of this ever-evolving disease.
Yeah, for sure. Out of all the information we've discussed, what particularly resonated with you? What sparked your curiosity?
I think it's striking how cholera remains a significant threat in many parts of the world, despite our growing knowledge of the disease.
It underscores the fact that knowledge alone isn't enough.
Right.
We need action resources and global collaboration to make a real impact.
You're right. It's about translating what we know into effective prevention and treatment strategies.
For sure.
That reach those who need them most.
That's where the real challenge and opportunity lie.
So it's been an incredibly insightful discussion.
It has.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into cholera, I wanted to revisit some of the resources we mentioned earlier. You highlighted the CDC website as a valuable source of information.
It is a fantastic resource for staying up to date on cholera outbreaks,
Okay.
travel advisories, vaccine recommendations,
Right.
and prevention tips.
So it sounds like a one-stop shop.
It is.
For all things cholera.
It is.
Not just for healthcare professionals,
right,
but for the general public as well.
Exactly. It's
Right.
designed to be accessible and informative for anyone who wants to learn more.
And for those of us who really want to delve into the microbiology,
Right.
you recommended Microbiwiki.
Yes. Microbiwiki's a collaborative platform run by the American Society for Microbiology.
Okay.
It's a treasure trove of detailed information.
On the genetics, the metabolism, and the virulence mechanisms of this bacterium.
So really in-depth stuff.
It is, yeah, perfect for medical microbiologists like yourself who want to go beyond the basics.
And for those seeking the latest research findings on cholera, you recommend exploring scientific journals.
I do.
So that's where the cutting-edge research is published,
It is.
providing those valuable insights for those working in the field.
And remember, even a basic understanding of cholera can have a ripple effect on public health.
That's true.
Knowing how cholera spreads and the steps we can take to prevent it really empowers individuals to protect themselves and their communities.
It's all about translating that knowledge into action.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah.
So we come to the end of our deep dive into the world of cholera.
Yes.
Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, cholera might be an ancient disease.
Yeah.
But it remains a significant threat in our modern world. However, with continued research, public health interventions, and global collaboration, we can make a difference in the fight against this deadly disease.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your insights with us today.
My pleasure.
It's been a great conversation.
It has.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into cholera.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you found it informative and engaging.
I hope so.
Until next time, stay curious.